I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Saugatuck Parks and Public Works Committee. Okay, first thing we need to do is call the roll. Sarah?
Sure.
Here.
Kimball,
Yes.
Roach.
Yes.
Stanton.
Here.
And Teal.
Here.
And I guess you already know Hoffman is excused, right? Okay. All right, the next thing we need to do is approve the agenda. So are there any comments on the agenda, additions, that type of thing? All right, so I think we have to approve the agenda, right?
I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda.
Okay, do I have all in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Agenda is approved. The next thing would be the approval of the minutes. So-
Madam Chairwoman, may I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for the Parks and Public Works Committee for August 26, 2025?
Actually, I just had one thought. When we were discussing last meeting at the Dark Sky, we chatted a bit about the event, but I don't think I saw it mentioned in the minutes, the event.
It was in there.
Was it in there?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry, because I was
yeah.
scanning. It was in there? Good,
Yeah,
because
just us-
part of our application was conditional on that we had already discussed it, and I wanted to make sure that the minutes showed that.
Yes, we did discuss it.
And it wasn't-
did show in the minutes.
It showed in the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Then looking for a second to approve the minutes?
All right, just a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we are now to public comment on agenda items only. And so our agenda is rather light, but do we have anybody in the room? There's no one online?
No.
Okay. All right, that brings us to our next topic for discussion, which is the Public Works update. So Scott, that's you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry in advance, Sarah. It's gonna be lengthy. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, and can I interrupt?
Nicely done.
There, yeah, I just wanted, I forgot I was gonna say.
Yeah, okay. We'll take it easy.
I was going to just compliment you, Sarah, because the minutes were excellent. They're so detailed and they cover so much. So thank you.
First thing I wanted to do was I think at the last meeting, I introduced everybody to our administrative project coordinator, Michelle Gibson. She's still working here. So we're very happy about that. Additionally, we were able to, I told you all about Chad Bauman resigning and taking a position closer to his home near Kalamazoo. And so we went through an interview process and we did hire Mr. AJ Brown over here. So AJ's with us. He's our new Parks Department.
Oh, great.
And he's learning quite a bit. So he comes with some experience from the Douglas Public Works. He worked there seasonally for a couple of years and then also spent, I think, 2 summers working for the Mackinac City Department of Public Works as well. So it's kind of cool that we get a little bit of some experience from different municipalities and kind of see how we stack up, and maybe he can bring some ideas as to, things that he's seen in the past that's been done better and ways that we can improve, or things that we are doing well and should continue with. So very welcome to have AJ with us. We'll be, we have a really packed fall schedule. We had a team meeting at Public Works and kind of gave an overview of the next few months and what we're up against. So it's busy. So basically between now and when the snow flies, our schedule's tight. So summer's done. We're able to get some projects underway. We started installing, everyone hates hearing this because it kind of signifies that summer's done, but we started installing the erosion control fencing at Oval Beach. It's out there. There's still plenty of lakeshore that doesn't have erosion fencing in front of it. So it in no way prevents people from enjoying the park. So we also are going to be installing fall decorations. Those get delivered at Public Works this Wednesday. So we'll be setting those throughout town, and some of our community members will be setting those up and making them look good. We also had Plumbers Environmental clean out our catch basins. This is something that we do every year. We aim to do it in the spring typically, but this year our spring had some obstacles in the way that prevented us from getting it done. So we thought that we would get it done this fall after Labor Day. So Public Works, we pop the iron grate on every single catch basin in the city and do a visual inspection and see which one has sediments and other materials that are getting close to the outlet for it. So to keep our storm drains free and clear, I think we had around 32 catch basins factored out recently. October, we have some work to do with the chain ferry. I think I updated this group. Council had approved a reconstruction of the arbors where the chain ferry sign is. Those are being worked on currently at Diversified Welding, and those are going to get replaced sometime at the end of November, early December. In October, Public Works is going to spend some time sourcing materials so that it's a like for like change when we had the new arbors constructed. So that'll be worked on. Let's see, where did I go here? Let's change, sidewalk replacements. So every year we, in the fall, we walk every sidewalk in the city and see which ones tree roots have pushed up, or maybe some construction vehicles have broken, or for whatever reason, there's a trip hazard. So we'll be doing some sidewalk replacements this fall as well. We do a 50-50 cost share with the residents. Technically, our ordinance states that the residents are responsible for the maintenance of the sidewalk, but Public Works helps offset those costs by doing a lot of the prep works ourselves. And then we split the bill with our concrete contractor to finish those up. We also have brush and leaf collection in October. This is when the leaves really start to come down. We're not at full capacity yet, probably in October, but we do have 2 brush and leaf collections for the month of October, and it'd take at least 3 days or so for our whole team to go through and provide that service for the residents. And then we also have a week that we'll be winterizing. We have like a 1-week window where we can get all the water shut off in our parks and then winterize the restrooms and irrigation systems throughout the city. So no, we also increase our street sweeping from like 2 days a week to almost 5 days a week if we can manage, just to get a lot of those acorns and other leaves and materials and keep them from entering our catch basins to begin with. So November is basically 2 things and 2 things only. We're either going to be installing Christmas decorations around the city, or we're going to be doing brush and leaf collection. That's really the peak of it. So when we do have a brush and leaf collection, it probably takes us all 5 days to get through the entire city. So
Or maybe snow removal in November.
you never know.
You just never know.
I have no idea. We hope not, because that first week of December is when we're planning on converting some of our equipment to snow plowing equipment. So it's always a nerve-wracking time of year, but the reality is we've set up some ways that we can convert our equipment over in a couple of hours. So
That's great.
if we do get that pop-up a snowstorm event, we can be prepared for it pretty quickly. So
Yeah, I remember that. Probably the biggest snowfall we had that year.
remember that. So in addition to all of the things that I just listed for the next few months, on the administrative side, I think Michelle and I are going to be spending quite a bit of time. We're still working with, council approved our Christmas light expansion for Water Street and Hoffman Street. It's a lot of coordination between Consumers Energy and our contractor to make sure that we have the electrical portion of it supplied. So we're still sending a lot of emails back and forth, making sure that everybody's okay with what our plan is for that. I do think that the numbers financially are going to come in substantially lower than what council and everybody's prepared to spend. So that's good news. Just doing an inventory of what's out there currently. We also, we have to mail out some letters and let folks know about galvanized and lead water service lines throughout the city. We just got our DSMI inventory back, and it outlines how many properties that we have. I just saw that this morning, so I don't have those numbers memorized at the moment, but there's quite a bit of substantial amount of work that has to be done because we have to meet lead and copper rules and get those service lines replaced. In addition, this is the time of year where myself and Michelle and Fleece and Vandenbrink will start kind of developing our capital improvements plan and our recommendation for what we're going to bring to council in the wintertime. That process starts right about now. So this year we're going quite a bit deeper into the capital improvements plan than what we have done historically. So I'm currently doing some training through the Michigan Infrastructure Council's Asset Management Champions program. There's a lot of content that I'll be diving into over the next month or two to get some certification with that. AJ, I think we're going to be working on getting him his CDL license so he can help us out with snow plowing activities and drive our dump trucks for us. And then we also have another staff member that has he came from the Kalamazoo Lake Sewer and Water Authority, and he's got his S3 and D4. So S licenses being water service and then distribution, and then the D licenses deal with the wastewater. So he has those licenses currently, and we want to make sure that we're getting him signed up with some continued education credits to make sure that his licenses are kept up on. So we're happy to have that in staff too. Our Oval Beach manager position, we had offered it to somebody and it didn't work out. So we're starting that process over again and trying to secure a full-time beach manager. I think that's going to be a conversation coming up for council, the Oval Beach operation, it sounds like. So full disclosure, I'm probably going to be recommending that we lease out the concession stand and then focus our operations internally on beach cleanliness and safety and the ticket booth and bringing in the revenues. So we also have a bid opening at the end of September for our road resurfacing projects. So this fall, we're targeting, there's a small patch on Lucy Street that we're going to be milling and overlaying with new asphalt. The parking lot at Wicks Park is going to get redone, and also the dead end of Hoffman Street west of Water Street. That road's completely gone as you go down towards the river by Coral Gables. So with good, decent utilities underneath them. So. And then we also have the art installation project that we'll be overseeing over at Cook Park as well. So
I haven't had any heard of that.
that's the evidence. That's the.
And that was like some fast talk.
Well, you know, I just, this emphasizes,
Just so we know who's in charge.
I guess this is all really exciting and important work. And I just want everyone to know that this is kind of what it takes for us to keep the ship afloat and also see progress. So,
Good work, Scott.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and I actually appreciate hearing it all because this is the kind of thing you just don't know, you know? It's all unseen until something breaks. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Next up is our, let's see, make sure I've just buried my agenda here. The actual topic is this, the special event. Good thing I was already jumping ahead. So Judy, talk to us about the Dark Sky Night at Oval Beach and anything else you have on Dark Skies.
Well, so, I mean, as we discussed at the beginning of the meeting, we did talk about it last time. You know, some of the ideas that I was trying to float. But at that point, I hadn't yet met with the Dark Skies International president or the Shoreline Amateur Astronomical Association. Yeah, so I ended up meeting with them shortly after our last meeting. We kind of decided, with the help of Chris Clark from Douglas UCC, who's very interested in dark skies as well. On a dark sky night at Oval Beach, we're planning for October 21st. We submitted the application before voting on it in here, basically because it was time sensitive and we had to have it in a month before the event, and the event is less than a month from now. So we came to the council workshop and just kind of went over some of the details, and Jamie and Sarah were helpful to me in trying to understand what I needed to do to get the application process going. And so we quickly did that. I have a meeting next Tuesday with the other folks that are involved, the Shoreline Astronomical Association, as well as Chris Clark, and we're gonna nail down the details in the agenda. But basically, we're you know, we're trying to center this around the community and families and try to get everybody to the beach at night to really recognize the beauty of the dark skies and the opportunity that we have to kind of even expand tourism, you know, into the off season for things like this. So far, we've gotten a lot of support and interest. So really kind of hoping that this will become something of a repeat activity that we might be able to support. So yeah, I'm excited about it and hoping to have some additional information very quickly once we get the agenda nailed down. But we do plan to have the astronomers are gonna bring their high-powered telescopes, so we're gonna set those up at the beach for stargazing, and they're going to provide some, astronomy information to those who are interested. We're gonna be passing out dark sky, night-friendly information, have, some things for kids. We're also gonna do a night hike with the dark sky friendly flashlights, red flashlights, so we're gonna be providing some of those. So it should be fun. We do have a rain date of the following day. But, obviously, as we know, these things are, there's not much we can do about the weather. So we'll just be staying tuned into what the weather's gonna look like at that time and hope for the best. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I do have a question, Scott. In terms of the telescopes, I was asked if there is a power source that we would have available to use kind of near that entrance shack or in the entrance shack without having to.
We've done
Light
that
it up.
before. I know the Mount Baldhead Challenge also draws some power out of Digger Foods, so.
Okay, great. I just wasn't sure and I wanted to get that answer before my meeting on Tuesday in case they needed something specific.
Yeah, so city council passed it last night, approved it. I can go over some changes they want in the application, but other than that, we can talk offline about that.
Great.
But otherwise, council approved it and we look forward to, I hope all of us can volunteer and be there and support this really great event.
Additionally, I think Jamie's working with Chris Clark on behalf of the UCC to resubmit a special event application. So just to clarify, it'll be a special event put on by the UCC. And they'll have the insurance coverage for it. So.
Yeah, and we appreciate them stepping up with the insurance because that's always the tricky part of throwing events like this. So we appreciate that the UCC was able to provide that insurance and can take the lead on all of these great organizations that are coming together to make this happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could we have a motion to actually formally have the PPW committee support this event? I'd just like to have that on record.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
think it's
think.
already been passed.
It's
by-
already
Yeah,
passed,
I don't know
right?
if that's necessary. I think, what I gathered from the council wasn't very supportive of the event. However, they were a little bit hesitant to have like an affiliation directly with the PPW committee for this event, as we're not an entity that's gonna, host and sponsor special events. So.
Well, that's good to know.
Yep.
Okay, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Judy, thank you for
Yeah.
all your work on this. That's
Thank you, Judy.
Really,
Great
really
job,
good work.
Judy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so now on the agenda, we have the Mount Baldhead, Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area Invasive Species and Revegetation topic. And you all received, so since our last meeting, we had told you we expected to have proposals from both the ODC and the Kalamazoo Nature Center about these two projects. And we've got those and you should have received those. So hopefully you had a time to look at them because it is a lot of detail. But I spread it all, I printed them and spread them all out all over my desk to try to make sense of it. And so the first thing I thought I would point out was, first, we've asked for invasive control, and then I'm going to talk about Mount Baldhead first, and then the revegetation, and that, of course, was a specific council priority. So if you looked at the two different proposals, they both are proposing about $10,000 to treat the invasives. And I think, well, you got the materials from the Kalamazoo Nature Center. I don't know if you received the email that we got from Luke Allison, where he gave a little bit more detail. And so when you compare basically the approach of the two organizations to the invasives, I would say it's very similar. So they're both planning on doing obviously minimal herbicide, no removal of anything that's not invasive, but they will, and I'll just go through a couple of things here. They say larger species will be treated using stem injection techniques, killing the plant standing with the lowest possible risk of off-target impact. Species with stems too small for this technique will be treated with a foliar application of glyphosate. And this will be done when it's, the optimal time to do that kind of thing. And it says this proposal treats invasive species without disturbing soil. And from what I could see, what ODC was proposing was very similar. So I couldn't detect, a whole lot of difference between those aspects of the proposals. They're both about $10,000. They're both probably going to approach it about the same way. Would you agree, Scott?
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah. So then it was like, okay, now what about the revegetation? And now there's quite a bit of disparity. So I'll go with ODC first. They basically listed what they're intending to plant. And they say, they've got some trees, shrubs, forbs, and graminoids. So basically, small plants,
You have a
grasses.
copy of that?
Didn't that get
It
sent
was
out?
in the packet.
It was in the packet. It's in the packet. It's actually in the packet, right? Yeah, you can pull it up. And they're proposing about 500 plants to revegetate the area. And their cost for that is about $7,500. But then when you go over to Kalamazoo Nature Center, first thing you look at, of course, is the bottom line, and their cost is $23,000. So that's quite a big difference. And let me see if I can get all that page pulled up here. So basically, what I noticed with one of the biggest differences was that they are putting in dune grass plugs. Here it is. So if you look at what they've got dune grass sprigs, 20,000. And those cost $7,000. Their labor costs are relatively high because they exceed what ODC was going to charge us altogether. And then they say basically 150 trees, and they're going to put in seed. Now, the total for ODC was 500, but we don't know how much is trees, shrubs, or, small plants. So Scott and I talked about this, and, while I try to learn as much as I can about these things, I thought the reality of it is this is out of my, expertise here. So I don't know how to make a decision. And we could obviously go back to both of them. But when we talked, Scott came up with the idea of, we had John Cleese present to us last month, and he was talking about his organization, Restoration Earth, and all of their work. And would he be interested in just kind of looking at the two proposals and giving us, some thoughts? So John, basically, and I didn't call him until Thursday, and he came right back.
Very fast, yeah.
It was fast. And he even went out there yesterday, and he sent me his thoughts. And his thoughts are very different from both of the proposals we received, just to muddy the waters further. So basically, his first thought was neither one of these proposals has anything in it about erosion protection. And he was very concerned that the things that you plant, especially, you start planting, you plant all the way down. If you do the whole thing at once, everything you plant on top, if like the sand, blows or whatever, it's gonna, it's gonna bury the things further down. And also the deer. So, and Lauren, I remember you bringing this up in the very beginning, that, there's nothing in here to talk about deer protection. And that would be a huge concern. And his recommendation, if he was doing the project, he said, would be to actually phase it, to start out doing, like a big portion of the top part, but then put deer fencing all around that until the plants got established. And you would do that like year one. And then once you had that basically in place, you would go on down the slope, and it would be a multi-year project. So very different response than what we received from either one of these proposals. He also talked about doing some kind of what he called green engineering, putting in like biodegradable erosion socks. Don't ask me to give you a whole lot on that, but just things that will, and coconut mats, so things that will degrade over time, but will help to hold the plants in place while they get established. So, where do we go from here? So Scott and I chatted a bit more, and I don't think we have, where do we go from here? Do we want to get more information? I thought we could also go back to both of these proposal writers and say, Luke and Tanner, and basically, meet with them one-on-one and ask for more input.
Yeah.
The other thing that John's thinking was that 500 plants wasn't nearly enough. to cover that kind of an area. He had concerns about Kalamazoo Nature Center putting in the dune grass. He said, I don't really know that I think that's necessary because it's forested on both sides and there's not even that much light, and he didn't know if that was a good idea. So I think we could go back to both of them and just ask for clarification and ask some more questions. And Scott, jump in.
Yeah, I've just got a couple thoughts on that. So Sarah and I actually had an experience similar to this one time. We were trying to secure some pricing on residing the Village Square restrooms, and what we got vastly different numbers. And the reason is because we learned that we needed to do a little more on our end to put a scope of work together and narrow that down so that when we're securing quotes from different companies that they have kind of an apples to apples comparison on this stuff. Because so that might be one thing that this group spends a little time thinking about, and that was kind of what my goal was, to have this information in front of you guys, is to just give it some thought, read through it, give it some thought on, ultimately, we're going to be making some sort of a recommendation to city council on this, right? And so they may be, Laura may be able to help too with kind of help us narrow down a little bit. We could go all in and spend, $100,000 on this, or we could, spend $15,000 on something like this, or try to put forth some sort of quality recommendation that's reasonable and in line with what the council's goal was, which was to revegetate that dune. I think when I look back and try to reflect on the conversations that I've had about it, it seemed like that bare spot was the source of concern from a lot of residents and council members. I agree that some sort of invasive species treatment ought to take place, and I agree that there should be a revegetation planting. But my worry is that if we continue just to seek out more information and different opinions, we're just going to get more confused. So we have some really solid, 3 entities that have given us, like a wholehearted, effort in trying to get us some good information. I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer within that. But that was kind of what my hope was just to kind of get the information to you and see what we think is a reasonable approach for our hillside there. Of course, I'm just talking about Mount Bald Head right now. I think the Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area, we have some funding available for that property, so it's a little bit different, but still, same concept applies, that we should probably try to, inventory it, get a scope of work pegged down, and then ultimately seek out some proposals. But I would also add too that, a lot of this stuff is, it's not necessarily a product that we're purchasing. It's a service, right? And so, just like our engineering is a service, we don't necessarily seek out quotes every time we need some engineering services. I would ask the group to really think big picture about all this and say, well, who is the, pricing is one part of it, and it's an important part of it, but also who has the bandwidth and capability to help us deliver on some of the other things that we work on, like trail signage and those sorts of things. The Wilds, we got some great help from the Outdoor Discovery Center on that. They've helped us with a number of items in the past too. So, but yeah, so it's a lot of information, and hopefully, my goal for this meeting was just to maybe hear some other people's thoughts and take some notes on trying to narrow this down a little bit. So hopefully you've.
Yeah, Scott, do you remember in our budget, how much was budgeted for revegetating and treating invasives for Mount Bald Head?
Off the top of my head, I think it was around 20 grand.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and we haven't spent any money on that so far this year.
No.
Okay, so that money is still there in the budget,
Mm.
waiting for us. Yeah, I would like to spend some more time with this. I'm not an expert in this by any means. So I really defer to Scott on knowing, what looks right to you,
Well, by the next meeting, I think what we can do, like, we just got some of this information recently too,
Yeah.
like as of a couple days ago. So, in addition to collecting some information and some input from you all, by the time we roll into next meeting, I'd like to, we can certainly prepare some sort of a chart, or even, reach out to some of these entities too. And if we need some clarification, or try to narrow it down and get more of an apples to apples comparison versus saying like, hey, how much to revegetate this slope? Well, that may mean very different things to different people.
Mhm.
And how far are we gonna go with it? You know, you're right, it's wise to kind of revert back to what the budgeted figure was for that. So, the reason, I think time is, you know, we always want to get this stuff implemented right away. However, you know, when I read through the proposals, each company was really recommending to target a spring application for each of those. So I think that gives us a little bit of time to really dial in the scope of work that we're looking for and prepare that ultimate recommendation to council.
Okay, yeah. So I think one thing that's come up with this is, I think like from the public standpoint and even councils, that the concern was about the erosion of that dune. And then what that would mean is that slides down into the parking lot, into the river. And I know we had the Allegan Conservation District go out and got some good information from Brian Telsman, who said it might look a certain way, but it's maybe not as bad in terms of erosion as like what we all thought is
Right.
maybe
Right.
a less educated
Yeah.
person looking at it. So that would maybe be a question that I would go back and just say, okay, in terms of erosion, because obviously it came up with John's email and maybe didn't in the other two proposals. So just so we can say, okay, is there anything else that we should consider? Because
Yeah.
we want to make sure that we're doing it in the correct order and that that is being a living dune, that it is able to stay in place with what work we decide to move forward with. So that would be my one kind of point of clarity
Absolutely. It's
than what we already have.
seemed like the Kalamazoo Nature Center, you know, we asked them to kind of evaluate what their thought was for erosion, and they didn't see it as a risk, that there wasn't active erosion. So, and then also too, that, you know, we got that recommendation from the Allegan Conservation District to install those stakes going up the slope, and I think Public Works will be doing that soon.
Yeah,
So,
let's do that.
yeah.
The stakes gauge.
Yeah, it's really simple. Yeah, you just pound some wooden stakes in the ground and then have some measurement markings on there and go out and record it every month or so and see if the sand is shifting. And over time, you just get more and more data on how live that dune actually is.
And the other
That's a
thing,
cool project for the school, Scott.
It's true.
yeah,
Want some invasives while you're up? No.
the other thing that came up is that it seems as though there's, seems to be a pathway that humans are using as well as deer. And that we were trying to block off an area that it seemed like humans were using to go up the dune. Was there any, maybe just cheap signage that could have gone up in that area? Please stay off this part of the dune. This is, you know, erosion control, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that, and then I think, if I remember right, the Allegan Conservation District were asking if there were like some nearby logs or any sort of natural
Yeah.
pieces that we could kind of,
Yeah.
we're not closing the trail. You know, it's public property, but we are making it less convenient for people and deer to
Yeah.
follow that trail.
Yeah.
But we could put. some
North side of the dune,
That would be if you,
Mm.
yes.
Yeah.
where the old service road is.
Yeah, it kind of goes behind the radar dome and then back down towards the pavilion.
And that was, you know, part of the erosion control is trying to get people not to walk there. So it's just a thought.
Right. And you see that when you go hiking in all kinds of areas, you know, like please stay off this part of the trail, you know, revegetation, you know, occurring. So
Environmentally sensitive.
people are
yeah.
fine with that, you
That
know,
would
they
be great.
understand. And most people that are hiking are concerned about the environment. and-
Right, right.
So I don't think would be much of an issue with even some signage, just trying to keep people off.
For sure.
All right, that was my only thought on this. Yeah.
All right. So we'll work on this, try to come back with some update for the next meeting, but I'm thinking to at least reach out to both entities, maybe all three, you know, and see if we can just dig a little deeper. You know, I want to send a proposal to council that we really feel we understand and we stand behind.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, so the other part of this was Stucktuck Harbor Natural Area. And so I was a little disappointed. All we got from Kalamazoo Nature Center was that they think they need to do an assessment of the invasives.
Mhm.
And so they would bill us $4,700 to go in and basically do an invasive species survey. And they say that would be,
Don't we
Who's
already
that?
have that though?
well, we kind of do. So West
I paid
Michigan
for
Land.
something twice.
West Michigan Land Conservancy did that, and they did go out to the area. So I was a little surprised that they thought they needed to do that. So that's all we've got really from them on this. But then with ODC, basically the proposal was to manage the invasive species, and that was in 2026. And they basically gave us a fee for that of $20,000. They also said they would do a trail assessment for 5,000. And then they're recommending an ecological evaluation, which it says, for the team will identify the distinct natural communities observed on the property, meaning the plant communities. And they would do an inventory, they would have a description, and then they would document basically what were the high quality species, what were the not so high quality, and that kind of thing. And then, and that would be a $10,000 fee. And then they would also recommend an ongoing invasive species survey. And so that wouldn't start until 2027, but that would be $3,500 to just keep on top of it. So it seemed like a pretty comprehensive approach, and they weren't actually saying that they needed to, have us go out or, be paid to go out and do more invasive species assessment.
Mm.
So thoughts, comments on that?
I know that, we really have three different things going on here. The Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area has its own funding source, so that kind of
Right.
allows us to move forward with some of those pieces, and it's well-funded. And then, Mount Baldhead that we already talked about, that's kind of its own project based on the council priority. But then we also have the ODC and the Allegan Conservation District working on kind of this citywide invasives plan too. So a lot of this stuff is just, there is movement on it. We're not necessarily seeing it, in front of us, but like I just sent the ODC some mapping of the city's right-of-ways to give them kind of an idea of what our service area would look like. And they should be putting some figures together, and I assume that's going to take quite a bit of work to canvass the areas, figure out which invasives are within those areas, and then treatment options for us moving forward. So this is a big undertaking. I can see why some people were maybe a little overwhelmed by all of it, but there's some good information coming to us anyway.
Other thought, I'll jump in. I guess I was pretty impressed with ODC's recommendations. I feel like they weren't saying they needed to do an assessment over again, that they were ready to go ahead and just manage those invasive species. And then also they were able, we talked about the trail issues that West Michigan Land Conservancy had pointed out, that we have some trails that really shouldn't be there. And we want to, deter people from using those, but encourage them to go where they, where it is fine to go. And so ODC's got that capability, and they're basically, giving us the assessment. And then I guess ultimately, if we wanted some signage, we probably have an additional fee for that.
Are we working on signage for Harbor?
Well,
It says in their proposal that, it said that it
it
excludes
says
signage, but
it excludes.
the mere mention of it makes me think that they could also help us with that too.
The reason I'm bringing that up is on social media within the last 2 weeks, somebody posted pictures of themselves at the Dean Park.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah. So,
it's like, and, the trail goes right to the park.
we've kind of been, stalled on the signage thing because of what the city was doing. And is there any progress on that?
It's not at the top of the list right now, so,
Good.
but it is in the process of working with, we're hoping to work with the Convention and Visitors Bureau and maybe possibly use, the same people that they use, or another group, as far as coming up with what that looks like, rebranding and all of that good stuff. So when we do signage all across the city, it all matches. So.
But
yes.
it seems like we've kind of been waiting, and maybe, in the meantime, things are happening that aren't, good for that area. So maybe we,
What are the chances
maybe
of
we could
us
get
getting
them.
involved?
Um,
Because it would happen, in my opinion, it would happen a lot.
It was,
faster.
it was a conversation that they would want the PPW to be involved with it, as far as working with, getting different proposals as far as, branding and
Design.
design and all of that. So the PPW would be involved with that. That was the last discussion that we had.
How about?
Do they want us to work on
In
signage?
the meantime,
Not yet,
Oh,
but.
it's just
when-
premature.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought we were
How
told
about-
not to.
if we could do some temporary signage at the harbor
Yeah, I would love temporary signage there.
area, do we have to ask permission? Well, obviously, we have to ask permission for that.
Correct.
So if we could do
Well,
temporary signing to close some of the trails and say, hey, stick to the trail, to that type of thing,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be I don't know if Scott would want that or whatever, but I think it would alleviate some of
I agree.
the trails being made.
I agree.
Do we have to ask permission for that?
We do.
I'll raise my hand. Can you ask permission for
Uh,
that?
I have.
You have?
I have.
Okay.
And it keeps going back to the same drawing board of trying to have the same signage.
Well, what if we basically pursued this particular proposal and asked ODC if they could create some temporary signs?
Sounds great.
We
That
don't, we
would-
don't necessarily need them to reinvent it. There already are some like, I don't know if you've seen them, but they're about 4 inches wide. They're kind of like, I don't know how to describe them, but sound intelligent, but they're like kind of flappy little brown signs that are plastic that go up, and they seem to serve their purpose. So maybe it seems like ODC is able to produce something like that too. But we also have we have a graphics design company that we work with that they make all of our custom signs for us. So
So
we
I
could at
would,
least get
I would recommend we know that there's money at the Saugatuck Harbor Natural area. If we could come up with some sort of proposal that we would say, hey, could you do the trail assessment to give us some temporary signage? Because it's more of an emergency type of thing. We want
Right.
people to stop, going where they shouldn't. And then bring that to council to say, hey, this is what we're looking to do. We have ODC willing to do it. They work with us in other areas. And it would come through the fund that's already established through the Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area and say, these are things that we want to get done right away, temporary. And then this is the amount of money that they're coming to us with. This is the amount that will come out of the fund to get that going. Because it might be 2 years, it might be a year before we see signage throughout the whole city. So-
Yeah, absolutely. We could make the recommendation and worst case, it doesn't get approved, but we could break the numbers down by here's how much for invasive treatments or invasive species treatments, here's how much for some trail markings, and kind of present it, buffet style, if you will.
That's what I would like
Yeah.
to see.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that
Well,
would
and
be the
that's how it
best.
is.
I think that would be the best option to present in front of
Mm-hmm.
council.
Yeah. And in the proposal, that's how it's laid out too. So that's à la carte. So there's,
Except
the
that it
recommendation
says-
is there and you can choose priorities and,
Right.
how we would want to proceed.
The only thing I think, Kelly, is we just need to on the signage component, because, just to give us a low number for
Mm.
that, that we could add, because otherwise I think you're right.
It's temporary.
Right, for
So,
the temporary signage,
Yeah.
just to include that in the proposal, and otherwise I think it's pretty comprehensive.
I'll reach out to Tanner and work with him on that, and I'll send him some pictures of the ones that exist, and if he, wants to come up with something different, we can kind of give him that creative freedom to do that, or he can replicate what's already out there,
Right.
or both. Give us
Right.
Numbers for both.
Yeah,
Right,
that'd be great, Scott.
I would,
Metal instead of floppy.
I would just love to, us to get some actual accomplishment,
That'd be great.
and this one seems a little more straightforward. So good, okay, so that's what we'll do as the next step,
Yeah, we'll come back at the next meeting with that.
and we'll hopefully have a proposal that we think,
Mhm.
That'd be great.
this, this to review, yeah,
wonderful.
make a motion.
That would be great.
Excellent. Okay,
Keith,
Keith had another invasive species.
I came up with a list of common pesticides, herbicides, and lawn chemicals that basically go into the system from people who treat their lawns. Which goes, we'll use the hill as an example. 4-foot clay base goes right away, and water on the clay base just runs straight down the hill, basically into the river, runs into the catch basins, runs into the river. And it coincides with the invasive species. If you've been to the city's website, which you all have, I'm sure, and you'll see that we have an amazing invasive species, not amazing, but we put together an invasive species, list of invasive species plants. And then in addition to that, we just put up deer-resistant pollinators and suggested plantings for residents of Saugatuck, Michigan. And they're deer-resistant, and it's not deer-proof, it's at the bottom of the page. And so what actually take, I think it's Phragmites. If you take Phragmites, what promotes growth in Phragmites is a lot of the things on this list.
Mm-hmm.
So we're basically feeding the things that grow in the river And then we're treating the things that grow on the river to
Right.
kill them. So it's almost like we're causing, it's a circle. that-
Yeah.
That is an excellent point.
This is just an informative thing. You can't outlet the things in bold, or actually they're grayed out, are the things that are really common in like turf builder. So when you put your lawn in, it gets green, and that's what goes into the river, which causes things to grow, and it also kills everything on the planet that, not everything, but it also retards everything that tries to grow, fish, clams, turtles, you name it. And one of the main herbicides that is used by everybody, like
Glyphosate.
glyphosate, which is used by, to kill everything that we're trying to kill up on Mount Baldwin. I guess the small injections, which was what they were mentioning, work great. But, you can't outlaw this stuff, but it would be a good, when I figure out, or we figure out where to put this kind of thing. And I'm also gonna contact Cal Lake on it to find out what is actually in the water system. Because when you go to their website, it's just, two things I mentioned, I can't remember what they are. Off the top of my head, I didn't put it in. There's just two things that they monitor. And none of them are on this list. That come from farmlands and lawn treatments. So I'm gonna contact them, see what they say, and this is just gonna be just an informative list for us, and if maybe we'll put it on the city's website that says, hey, this is what's going on in your lawn, which goes into the river, which doesn't help the fishing industry, boating industry. So like a little more consciousness.
Yeah, I think it's great, Keith, and I think we need to almost make it a separate little cross study or something, how can we really promote the idea, that these things are so harmful? And I don't know that people are, I mean, I think this is a great start because this identifies the stuff for us. But how do we actually take it to the next step, of getting people more and more aware? I basically, our lawn has deteriorated since we moved to our home because I fuss about all the chemicals. And I noticed my neighbors had the lawn treatment service come in, and there were 4 different neighbors on Spear Street that had a little sign, that the applications had just been put down.
Do not walk barefoot or put your dog on there for 24 hours.
Right, so I mean, it's clearly, at least in my neighborhood, people are all about nature, but they want their lawn to look great. And I get that. I want mine to look great too, but I'm letting it go. So, and we need to, I think promote these, lawn alternatives, clovers and that type of thing you can plant that, are low grow and you can still walk on them.
And not,
So there's just a lot of things we could be doing with this.
not to trash Roundup, which I always do anyways, but Roundup used to have an advertising program that said it was inert after X amount of time, and we all know it wasn't. So I'm sure, well, we all know that none of this stuff is inert. When it still flows down to the river, it's got, who knows what the half-life, shelf life, quarter life is of this stuff. So that's what I got.
All right, well, let's keep going. Let's work on this. Thank you, Keith.
Here's Keith's, part of the website too, stuff he sent. I did add some photos.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Look at that.
Oh, Sarah,
Yes.
you are a star, Sarah.
Do you want me to
List
get,
that he sent, so
do you want me to get you photos of some other stuff, or?
it's got, all of them have photos.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
That's great.
Okay. Careful what you do there, because I'm gonna add more.
It's like the Constitution, it's a living document.
Well, that's what I wanted to do.
Circle back on that.
Okay, all right. So it has come to my attention, if we circle back to item B, that the application that was submitted for the dark sky event did say pending PPW committee approval.
Yeah.
And so I think we do need to vote on that, but it won't hurt anything, will it?
I don't think so.
Maybe.
Just,
No.
it seems weird that city council already approved it and it's
Yeah.
coming back to us. But
Mm.
I mean, that was just the original application and we have to redo the application anyway.
Oh, we do have to
So-
redo.
In your motion, it didn't say anything about PW approval.
Right, just,
Okay,
A
well,
review maybe, but not.
yeah, just review.
okay, all right, because I did clarify that with Ryan.
Say that right here.
Well, but we have to
Right, but
redo
then
the
we-
application, everyone. So that's what we have to do is redo the application and it's already been approved with the condition that we have to redo the application through the UCC. So.
Okay, so
Yep.
not necessary. Okay. All right, thanks, Lauren. Okay, so that brings us to public comment. So do we have anyone who wants to make a comment? Kent?
Last month I was here, I have got a hold of Hebner Property Services for the township part of the trail that comes out on 63rd Street. We have a massive quote for a dual wall solid culvert tile with crushed concrete to cover tile and make trail labor, Bobcat work, trucking to install. It total is a massive $1,200. So I'm gonna be recommending that to the Sauk Township Parks and Rec Board in about a week and a half when we have our meeting. And hopefully we will go ahead with that. And we will await to hear from the city if they're gonna move forward on their side of the street. And if you do, then maybe we should have a discussion that if we are going to purchase trail crossing signs for each side, we probably should buy the same sign. So, I will, await your wisdom and action on that point. And I did confirm with, Mr. Hebner that should you decide that, you would like him to install the same type of thing on, I know you have to go through your bid process or DPW may want to do it itself. But for $1,200, he indicated that the price would be the same for the city on their side. With the same caveat is that he's asking the township to pull the permit from the county. So if you wanted him to do it, he would want you to pull the permit. So I will leave that in Scott's capable hands and that's all I have. I think Dark Sky will be a fabulous night and you guys are working hard. Thank you.
Thanks, Kent. Okay,
Signs.
Signs everywhere, signs.
anyone else want to make a comment? No? Okay, all right. Moving on to correspondence, and I don't believe we had any correspondence. So, committee members' closing comments. Judy, you want to go first?
Sure. Just appreciate everybody hearing out the Dark Skies thing. I'm excited about it. And even though it's not officially our event, looking forward to whoever can support it to be involved because I'd love to take this forward on an ongoing basis.
Thank you. Keith?
Sarah, I love your photos. I'm going through them all right now. They're great. No comments. I think we're doing a great job. I would love to see some signage, of course. And I think we could work toward that, but I think we are doing a good job. Thanks, everybody. And I'm looking forward to the Dark Skies.
Lauren?
Just thanks to Judy for putting that all together and the hard work you did to research and get all the groups together to make this event happen. Yeah, we just have a few little details we'll work out and I look forward to all of us volunteering and being there for that night. Cause how cool is that? I don't get to Oval Beach at night very often, so it would be a really cool event to see the stars and let's like really hope that we have a really beautiful, clear night for it. So looking forward to that. And I just appreciate you guys understanding, the process of things. And I will do my best as the representative to help us through a lot of these things. I know it can be challenging sometimes, but we will do our best to be as helpful of a group as we can be, because you guys are a great group of volunteers. And things wouldn't happen in town without all of you and the other volunteers that help. So appreciate all of your hard work and volunteerism.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Thanks to Judy. I'm very excited to support the Dark Skies event. Thanks to Keith for all of your work on updating the city's website for invasives and natives. And then the only other thing that I have is that we did host the 8th grade students at the Wilds this past Friday. We had beautiful weather for it. We had about 70 students, 15 volunteers. And essentially through our partnership with the Kalamazoo River Greenway and ODC, our work with the schools, thanks to Scott for your help with opening up the gates there too. We had the kids out there to learn about biodiversity and what is it like for, to give back to your community, how do nonprofits and government and community members come together to create good things, and how do we make these things happen? And then we went on a great trail hike that the naturalists from ODC led them out on, and then we did a bunch of work. So when you're out there next, you'll see that the parking lot looks great, and that was really difficult to get up. And then just got some trip hazards and things like that, just things that needed to be done. So it was an awesome community event, and I appreciate all of your help for everybody that was out there.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it was an awesome event, and it was so fun, and
Yeah.
such a great opportunity for the kids because, I talked afterward with, my daughter-in-law had also volunteered, and she's like, it's amazing what some of these kids don't know about the outdoors.
Yes, and that is a huge part of this,
Just-
is to
yeah.
get them out in nature and
Right.
experience this amazing environment that they're growing up in.
Yeah, Kelly
Very
asked at
cool.
the beginning, how many of you have been to a state park? And there was a show of hands. There were quite a few that raised their hands, but there were so many that didn't. Now, they're 8th graders. Maybe they don't even know when they've been in a state park, but,
Yeah, I asked them to yell out what state park they've been to. They were like, I don't know. And same thing, like, I asked if they've been to the wild, if they've been to a state park, if they've been to a national park. And then I asked them, like, do you know how you get access to these things? Like, why are you allowed to go on this land? And we talked
great.
about, this is a great example of all of these different entities coming together to make
Right.
that happen. So-
right.
And some interesting wildlife out there too. Some-
Oh, and there were some Bigfoot sightings. So,
It was
yeah.
fun too. Yeah, it was very fun. So thank you, Kelly. I have a couple of things. So, I had mentioned, I think at our last meeting, we really need to seriously start thinking about what kind of things we think should be, on the agenda for next year. And I had a meeting with one of our residents, actually just yesterday morning. And she previously lived in another community larger than ours, but they did a lot of social activities. And we don't actually have, like a community center or anything like that. But she was thinking, could we not do more, and could the Parks Committee, PPW Committee maybe help to promote this idea with getting some wintertime activities going for our residents, and she suggested that in her previous experience, they actually partnered with the school so that you could have that, for a facility. And maybe it's just, to have, something on, topical things that people are interested in. Maybe somebody wants to start, a bridge club, and have a way of meeting there. But, would that be an idea that we could promote basically and start to maybe work more closely with the school, because that's where the facility is. And then I have another resident, who has been on me about the condition of the tennis courts. And the tennis courts are terrible. And also, if we basically redid
School.
the school tennis courts, have a lot of cracks and that kind of thing.
They do.
They do. I've got pictures. She sent me pictures.
Yeah.
And I can walk over there and, verify that. But anyway, if we updated those and then could also convert them into
No.
pickleball. Well, that's a request I'm passing on.
I look right back and anything's gonna happen. I am not gonna fight it, but I want to tell you, pickleball.
These are Nancy's comments,
noise.
Keith. These
Yeah,
are
this-
Nancy's comments.
You are out of order.
These are Nancy, this is Nancy's turn. Okay.
I am relaying what the input I received.
Yes.
And that these basically, so could we not do more to promote adult activities, working in conjunction with the school? It seems like there's not been a good partnership there. And so I just thought it was a great idea and something for us to think about and maybe talk some more about at our next meeting. And then I also had input, there's such a thing that I just learned about called the Old Growth Forest Network. And this is something that's like a national thing where you identify old growth forests and then you get like official certification and then you kind of promote, I guess that, and you make sure you preserve them. And there are many in Michigan, and it's been identified that we have some potential candidates at the Saugatuck Wilds. And so would that not be a cool thing for us to pursue to see if we could get an old growth certification for, the area, the trees in the Saugatuck Wilds that might qualify? So I don't know much more about it than that. I'm going to look into it, but we might want to have a presentation on that. Do you have a thought or?
So we already have one area that is designated over by Oxbow, correct? Like that, no,
I don't know.
not designated?
I don't know.
I'm almost
You think we
positive
might
that
actually have
that
one?
was designated about a year ago, I believe. So anyways, I'll look into that because I forget exactly.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I'll try to do a little more research on it. I didn't have time to spend time on it before this meeting, but I like the idea. So, why not? We really would want to promote the area, and that would just be one more thing, that could even be out there on our tourist stuff. We have old growth forest. So that was that idea. And then lastly, I was going to try to end on a real positive note. So Sarah, this is where I'm going to ask you to bring up couple of photos. So can you bring up first my, so I can't leave this meeting without updating you on the Peterson Preserve Pollinator Garden.
That looks good.
Okay, that's the last one. Go to the first one. Okay, she gave you a preview of my,
She's
AJ, don't weed whack those down, okay?
don't weed whack us.
my God. Give me a heart attack. Okay, so this was a picture that I think I took back in May of what it was looking like. Okay, next, can you go to the next picture of the garden? And I took this one yesterday.
Oh,
So
good.
it's looking much better. It's got, obviously, it still doesn't look like a true prairie, but it's starting to fill in.
I like the sign.
And yep, and I put the sign there and I think it's doing a great job. Okay. Next slide is, no, go the other way.
Oh,
The one that you showed first.
yes.
There. And how about that? So remember I said we had one milkweed that survived and it thrived. And we had the two caterpillars. And my daughter-in-law actually was able to identify. Isn't this interesting that the caterpillars were on the swamp milkweed and this rattlesnake master that it made the chrysalis on is, like two plants over, and they just, crawled a little self over there and decided that that's where they wanted to put their chrysalis. But
That's
we
awesome.
are going to
That's
be
great.
actually responsible for one monarch with
That's
that little
great.
garden. So I'm so excited. Okay, now I had one, sorry, I did get excited when I saw that. So now, did you get that last picture I sent you this morning? Real quick. So I was at Fenville's new park or new playground
Mhm.
over the last weekend. And they have a little, I don't know if it's a retention pond exactly or stream or something. And if you notice, they had put in some native plants and they got designated as a monarch way station.
Hmm.
Now, don't you think if Fenville can be a monarch way station, certainly Saugatuck could be a monarch way station. So I looked up what you have to be designated that. You have to have 10 milkweed plants. Right now, I have planted. some
Dude, I have
additional-
those in my backyard.
Why?
Okay, and you have to have it, basically, you have to have like 100 square feet minimal area. And so I have to figure out exactly how big that little garden is. But I think, I think we want to do that. Or why wouldn't we want to do
Need
that?
full sun for that?
It's preferred, so, but it doesn't have to be full sun, but it definitely needs to have, I'd say, 4 to 6 hours of sun at least a day. Anyway, I was excited about that. Thought maybe we could go that route. Also, in order to promote this idea of the pocket prairies, we need to get resident support. So, if you don't mind, talk to your friends. If they haven't already filled out their survey, put a little comment on there that you'd be interested in seeing that as a council priority.
Mhm.
We'll just try to promote the idea so it can go someplace. And I just happened, actually, I'm leaving on vacation tomorrow. I'm going up to upstate New York. We're going to cross over into Canada. And there's a little town called Niagara on the Lake. And I was discussing my vacation plans with somebody yesterday. And he said, oh, that is such a cute little town. He's like, you're really going to enjoy it. He said, it's a lot like Saugatuck, but they have a lot more flowers.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Shots fired.
And I said, okay, sorry, I can't, that struck a nerve.
Slideshow.
And I was even thinking about reaching out to the CVB. I'm like, seriously, do we want other communities to be known as having more flowers than? Okay, that's my final comment.
If I could just pipe in with just one quick thing, you have these in front of you.
Yes.
There is an open house on Tuesday. If you are interested, it's going to be a really great open house. Unfortunately, I can't be there because I'm going on vacation on Tuesday.
Exactly, I'm gonna be gone.
But if you haven't had a chance to fill out the survey, it is a lengthy survey. So just grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and sit down. And this is really important information, and our planning commission has worked really, really hard to put this together. And it's important. You know, we do this every, I believe it's required every 5 years. So it's just really important for you all to have a voice in what Saugatuck looks like in the future, what we want to remain the same, where we want to grow, what we don't want to see happen. And you people are all players in our community as far as volunteers, and we would love your input.
Sure, deadline.
October 6th.
Were they mailed out?
They were
Um,
mailed out, sorry.
Yeah, please.
They were
Yeah, I
mailed
got
out
one.
To residents, the reason why we gave them to you is we want more than residents and occupants filling them out. We want other people around the area as well, so if you know anybody that's not in this community, but has, you know, ties to this community, it'd be valuable.
So you're looking for even part-time owners?
Oh, heavens, yes.
Yeah.
Everybody that.
Okay, I want to make sure I promote. this.
Anybody that lives here.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yep.
Okay. All right, that is all from me. So I believe we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Sec.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes, we are
Third.
adjourned. Oh, I forgot.
Thanks,
Yeah, we
everyone.
did ask for public comments. So we didn't.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.